Today I have a new little person in my chair. I've gotten a few requests to show how to get thinner hair, little girl hair, to stay curly and to stay in an updo. Anna is in a wedding soon, so she's letting me practice for herself, for the wedding, and for so I can show you guys. So what I did first was I set Anna's hair with these hot sticks because curl doesn't love to stay in Anna's hair, but this is obviously super curly. So we're hoping, we'll see if it stays with how curly it is. So now I'm going to show you what I do for a little kid hair. So I'm going to part Anna's hair and in the back. Not really a definite part back here, but I'm going to take that bottom part. I'm going to put it up in a really loose little pony back here, just to kind of gather that hair. And then you don't have to worry about that back falling while they are dancing, or if it's really humid for your summer wedding. So I'm going to take my clear elastic and I'm going to put a little ponytail in there. And thankfully these curls are like super tight, so you can kind of pull them through, and they're not going to go anywhere. So now we have a little base back here, because that's usually the trick with little kids here, is it's hard to pin things into it because there's not a lot of hair to pin into. So we have Anna's hair all in a little pony, all curled, and I'm going to start pinning it. So I'm just going to take it and kind of where my hands are and pin it up, just so that we keep a lot of that curl still in there for her. And I'm going to use a hairpin for this bottom part because we want to keep that curl. So I'm not pinning right at the end, I'm pinning right in the middle and pinning it up there. I'm using a flexible hold hairspray on her right now, just so that I can keep moving the curls. So then I'm going to take my neck section down. I'm going to part it a little bit. And with hair that is a little, Anna's hair is like a typical blonde-headed hair. It is nice and fine and straight. And so I'm going to take bigger sections. So I'm going to put a little back combing in there to get the hair to pull away from her head just a little bit. Nothing crazy because she's still a little kid. And then I'm going to take one big section. I'm going to do like a loop. See how I did that and turned the hair under there? I'm going to pin it at the base of that loop. It's going to give her a little body there, and we're just adding to that curly part down at the bottom. So same with this section. I'm going to take it, I'm going to twist it around my finger and do a loop back there. And then you can just kind of take your curls and pull them out a little bit. So you're getting a nice base down here. It's nice and curly. Then you have your last section, and you're gonna do something similar to that. So a little kid's updo obviously should not take as long, unless you have a little girl who has adult amount of hair, which you very well could have that. You don't really find that to be the case though. So I like to keep this back a little smoother. So I'm gonna do just like, so I have my big chunk. I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna twist across here, right there. Take my bobby pins and pin right into that side. And I'm going to take this part and do the same thing. This way, with the twist going across, you're making sure that there's going to be no like gaps in their hair. You're not going to be able to see their scalp at any time. And then you take it and you pin it right in. And at the end, you can go through and kind of fluff up your curls, but we'll worry about that when we get there. So with little kids, generally for their sides, they're coming in last. They're not as curly. So I'm gonna do 2 big sections for Anna's hair. I think that always looks nicer when you do that. So I'm gonna take this side, then on the other side, because that's her thicker side, I'm gonna do a big braid in there. That way her bangs are gonna stay in throughout the night, and they're not gonna have to worry about that. So for this side right here, I'm gonna take this back, and I'm just gonna do a twist on it. Because that way we know that her sides are gonna stay in, and then we're gonna have stuff that goes over top of it. So I'm gonna twist this back, just like this, and that will come back to at the end. Then for the front, I'm gonna do something similar like I did to the top right here. I back combed it just a tiny bit. Then I'm gonna take my first section and do like a loop, right like that. So again, I just take it and I loop it right over my finger. This pulls it a little bit away from Anna's head, just like that. And then I'm gonna do that same thing for her front piece. Usually for little kids, I don't pull anything out of their hair, like little pieces in the front, because those things naturally fall out anyways. So that I just kept like how the curl is going. Right there. So there you got a little bit of texture and movement on that side. Generally little kids will have something that's going in their hair. I like to usually put that on their less hair side right here. So then for this big side, with most of her hair, I'm going to put a big nice braid through the front. That way it keeps it out of her eyes. We don't have to worry about it falling throughout the night. But to get there, I'm going to take the section closest to the back of the head right here. And I'm going to do one of my loops again to get it out of the way and to create a little volume. So I'm just going to loop it right over my finger and put a pin right in there. And then same, so I'm going to braid that whole big section right there so we can get a nice fat braid. And then so for the part that's not being braided right here, I'm going to again loop it over my finger. Why I like to do that is it creates that movement in there, so it's just not flat back to her head. It has a little bit of movement. Put a tiny bit of back comb in it, brush it out, and then do your little flip. Like there. See, and then you still get that nice pattern from the curl. Put your bobby pin in there. All right, now I'm going to braid this section right here. I'm going to use dry shampoo on her hair, even though her hair is not dirty, but just to get it a little bit of extra texture in there and help plump it up. So I'm going to do a big Dutch braid right here in the front. It makes it look like little kiddish still, but serves a purpose too. Keep braiding all the way down the side of their head. Get all that hair in there. You kind of do have to fight the ends of it when it's been curled so much, but I like to get it all the way down there. And then even with little kids, I still go back through and fatten up the braid a little bit. that way they can really see that there's a cool braid on the side of her head. Then I take it, and I usually try to pin it down towards the base of their head down here so that it's not popping out. And if your daughter has a lot of hair and you're pinning it into an updo, you can take it and you cross those bobby pins. So now I'll go back through and just do a few finishing things to an updo. So this little guy kind of was poking out. Put him back in. And then you got a few of your curls that are a little looser, which is not a problem, but we'll go and kind of, right, not at the end of the curl, but in the mid, poke it in there. So you still get the curl, but you know it's secure. So don't pin it from the end. Pin it right from the mid shaft, and then poke it, pin it in there. And so now her updo is really done, but we're gonna take a little bit of this oil I have, just a tiny amount, because you don't want to weigh down her hair. But sometimes little kids' hair can get a little frizzy looking with curlers. So we're just gonna take that and blot it on the ends there, and then it kind of seals that up. And of course, for the day of the wedding or whatever event, first communion, whatever it is, you'll want to make sure you give it a spray so that then you know that it's going to stay.